Wonderful. So welcome everybody. My name is, as I mentioned, Bob Singh. I am the Western Region Account Executive at Canon, based out here in sunny Southern California. And I'm part of the Canon Digital Imaging Solutions team. And our mission is to assist organizations like yours in your digital transformation goals through using intelligent automation, powered by Canon's advanced imaging and process improvement technologies. We leverage our expertise in our best-in-class technology, our competitive, customized approach to delivery, and we are committed to helping our customers make their business process digital, secure, and accountable. So that's a little bit about me. Today, we're going to be talking generally about we're going to talk about how you may be able to overcome some of the biggest objections to accounts payable automation that you might come across within your organization, whether it's from your user community or from the executive group. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. So now is the perfect time to automate the way your organization manages its information. And there are 5 telltale signs that it may be the time to automate your business processes and workflows today. So let's take a look at each of them. If you're receiving paper and email documents requiring manual handling, which is extremely time consuming, and specifically accounts payable, that's the reference we're talking in today. But if you're receiving a lot of paper and email invoices that have to be then manually either entered into a system or handled or walked through the process literally, then now might be the perfect time for you to automate. If you have outdated versions of documents that you're working with, then that's another sign. You know, many remote workers store local copies of documents they're working on in order to bypass slow company networks. But the coworkers can never be sure whether they are working on the latest version, so there's no version control, or whether the information is even correct or relevant for that matter. So that's another sign. Continual trouble in finding relevant information is another sign. Excuse me. Under the best of circumstances, workers waste a lot of time combing through shared file folders to locate information. Erroneously filed documents can nearly be impossible to find. If a document is found, the user must then spend what seems like an eternity waiting for large files to download through the company VPN. So that's another sign. And then poor document control. The operational disruption caused by the sudden shift to remote working has caused a global opportunity for fraudsters. Data breaches are a growing threat in our environment. The root of the problem is the manual and the semi-automated approaches that most organizations use for routing documents that when staff are working remotely. Emails containing sensitive information can be intercepted or sent to the wrong person, or they can be simply hijacked. Routing information via email also makes it hard to determine who accesses, reviews, or changes, or approves any of the documents. We all know that information stored in a public cloud, especially one that is hosted offshore, is not very secure. And critical business information can be deleted ahead of retention schedules, even by well-intended employees, just by simple errors. So that would be another sign. And lastly, there's no tracking of tasks. Adapting paper-based approval processes to a remote working environment is really hard. It's not always clear who must approve any documents. Tasks cannot be delegated. If you don't know who is on leave and an email routing doesn't provide alerts, notifications, or escalation procedures or visibility into the status of the documents, then those documents can very easily get lost. As a result, employees waste lots of time calling and emailing approvers to determine the status of documents, jeopardizing work progress and the meeting of deadlines. So I guess they're not using sneakerware like they used to in the old days, and the old days meaning pre-2020, but still they have to spend a lot of time trying to track down different documents. So if your organization is experiencing any of these remote working challenges, it is most likely time to automate your processes. Despite the tremendous value in automating AAP, we come across objections from our clients every single day. Today, we will discuss some of those objections as we move forward and how we address them, more importantly. Okay, so let's look at some of these objections. I'm not going to read all of them because we're going to discuss each one in more detail. So we will start out with financial concerns as number one. Okay, so initial cost is always a huge hurdle for most of our clients for any project, not just AP automation. But you can assess the ROI of whichever solution you're looking at, looking to implement by comparing these metrics with your with your individual invoice counts. So let's talk about these. So some of these metrics. So again, these are this is data that has come out of a pretty detailed and comprehensive study that was done by Ardent Partners. I believe it was in 2020. So this data may be pre-COVID and most likely is pre-COVID, and now it's probably even more magnified. So the cost to process a single invoice, and this is how we look at the all-inclusive cost, which includes every overhead and headcount cost involved. In a non-automated environment, it costs about a little over $12 to process a single invoice. In a highly automated environment, that can drop by a factor of 6 to $2 and change. That's a huge savings. The actual time to process a single invoice can go down from almost 11 days to under 3 days in a highly automated environment. The invoice exception rate, meaning invoices that require some kind of a validation because something doesn't match up, those drop from almost a quarter to 1 in 10. And the percentage of invoices processed straight through, which means touchless processing, invoices just pass through the system without anyone having to do anything, any intervention. And so that is the number you want to go up. So that number goes up from a low to low automation environment to a highly automated environment, goes up from 1 in 5 to about 2 in 3. And the percentage of suppliers that submit invoices electronically, you want this to be 100%, but in a perfect world, you want it to be 100%, but it'll never happen, right? So we always have vendors who will rather mail an invoice. I don't know if anybody still faxes, but every time I say that, I'm surprised. But anyways, from 16%, that number goes up to almost 1 in 2 vendors who submit their invoices electronically, and mostly via email. There are other ways too, but primarily email. Percentage of invoices linked to a purchase order. Now, ideally, again, in a perfect world, you want that number to be 100%, but of course, it can never be that. There will always be vendors who will submit invoices that are not related to any purchase order. So that number goes up from 1 in 3 to about 4 out of 5. Again, huge improvement, right? So these metrics are really important in determining the ROI. And if any of you after this webinar have any questions about how to work in ROI calculation, please reach out to GSI. Canon and GSI would be glad to work with you on coming up with the perfect ROI scenario. Next, let's see. Okay, supplier adoption. So let's talk about this. So In an intelligent invoice capture, which is typically the first step in a automated AP environment, there are several different things you need to be aware of. So most organizations receive invoices in different formats. You know, like I said earlier, it could be paper, it could be email, it could be a fax, it could be an XML feed, EDI, so on and so forth. The key here is to standardize as much as possible for efficiency. Any good invoice process automation project includes training your vendors to send their invoices electronically via email. This is also highly efficient and economical for the suppliers themselves. So these emailed invoices can then be put through a state-of-the-art data extraction layer for automating the process. You can add layers that can handle multi-currency, multi-language, and context and content-sensitive data verification and validation. So again, not to go too deep into the guts of it, there are several different components and layers that can be added to on top of the intelligent invoice capture process to then make it more automated. There we go. So the capabilities of an intelligent invoice capture process take place as part of the overall solution using a state-of-the-art OCR solution. When your invoice arrives, key information is automatically captured and extracted and then recognized. That key information is extracted from the invoice header as well as the line items, as shown in this example on the screen, where the invoice image is on the left and the extracted information is on the right. And this process is automatic, takes place as soon as the invoice hits the system. This information is then matched and processed in an automated way, while machine learning and artificial intelligence, using machine learning and artificial intelligence to enhance and continuously improve the performance. This is where if something doesn't match up, you know, then an exception is raised. The next objection we're going to talk about is end user adoption. So we all know that that change management is always a big step for implementing any new enterprise solution. It helps if you have good workflow management built in, and that workflow management is customizable to fit the user's needs. It is also important to have an intuitive user interface and a highly collaborative work environment with full integration into the financial system. On top of that, with the current work from home environment, people have had to adapt to new systems and business processes that are in line with the remote work environment. I have seen that workers are more conducive to adapting to new systems today than they have ever been before, at least in my work history. So having a highly efficient workflow management system that's customizable with ad hoc task assignment and dynamic access rules is really key. Having a collaborative environment with mobile capability and a version control built in, that's also really key. And then, of course, integration with your financial system. You know, whatever your ERP system happens to be, you want to have integration into the vendor master file, the procurement system. You also want to have access within the other modules, you know, whether it's transportation or receiving or whatever, within that ERP. So all of these things make it really easy to conform to end user adoption, and makes it very the version control. Sorry, no version control. I'm drawing a little blank here, so please bear with me. But the change management aspect really conducive to implementation. So your processes can be flexible thanks to the drag and drop user interface that we just talked about for customizing workflows. So this is just a PowerPoint of how easy the drag and drop functionality of the user interface is, where it allows you to move approvers or validators into the workflow or out of the workflow or change them as needed, whether on a permanent or an ad hoc basis. Let's talk about the next one. Next objective is technology concerns. So, a lot of our clients tell us, well, we implemented X, Y, Z technology already, so we believe we're already automated. And this can be anything. I mean, I can give you examples all day long, but a couple examples would be like, customer says, yeah, we gave all our AP clerks 2 monitors, so they don't have to print. Well, but they still have to enter the data, even if they are working off 2 monitors. So that's really not automation. That's not what we call true automation. Accounts payable automation solutions from Canon or from other, top of the class providers provide intelligent automation capabilities in invoice capture, which is the capture itself is context sensitive and rules based, but it can also be template based. So there are some vendors who provide only template based invoice capture OCR. But I think it's in your benefit. It's a lot more beneficial when you can have both template based and a rules based context sensitive OCR system. Content management, you need to have a keyword sensitive contextual search capability and retrieval of that invoice. And you also want high availability. You want to be able to access that content, that image of the invoice wherever it's stored from whatever system that needs to talk to it. Workflow and collaboration. So you want to be able to change the workflow as your business changes. It needs to be easily customizable, and that's something we just talked in the couple of slides ago, or last slide I think it was. And then of course analytics. You want analytics for BI, for business intelligence. You want to be able to extract relevant data so that you can make wise business decisions. And the technology should fit your needs. There's multiple ways of deploying the solution, right? You can do it on premise where you have the data center and it has capacity and everything is on premise. You have a perpetual license, so you buy one and forget. You could have it in a hosted environment where you basically externalize the infrastructure and the management of that infrastructure. Or you can have a complete AP cloud solution, which is scalable and reduces your upfront costs and spread it out over the term of the contract. And you have a software as a service model. So basically no maintenance, very little upkeep, and everything is always up to date. So next objection I come across quite a bit is status quo. That means, things are working more or less. We don't really want to change something that's not broken. So, of course, you define your definition of broken there. But this kind of ties in with what we discussed earlier, that is, user adoption and the change management, because a lot of times they say, well, it's a lot harder to train people to a new process and get user adoption than to just keep things status quo. So that's another thing we come across all the time. So a lot of our clients are stuck in that status quo mindset, and they need a gentle push to get out of that mindset. It's key that they choose the right process to automate, number one, and then choose the right tools to automate that process. So you kind of have to look at this slide and go through all of these things to make sure that the status quo is not better than the change, right? So you select the right process, you choose the right tools, you take an end-to-end approach to deployment of that solution, you test that technology, and you get senior management on board, get everybody's buy-in, as well as the users as well. You proactively manage the change, and you're clear with the impacted staff that this is a positive change. It's going to result in more efficiency, and even though there may be an initial objection to the change, in the long run, it will make their lives a lot easier. You look for a quick, easy wins that can then help get a broader buy-in from the rest of the team. And then you realign the staff resources around that process. That's how I would handle it. Next one is timing issues. So most of us are, working longer hours these days, but even before this, when, before COVID hit, we still had a full work day, right? We all did. It's tough, and it's always tough to add another project like AP automation on top of your normal day-to-day responsibilities. So a lot of companies look at it as AP automation as one big project. But how do you drain the ocean? Well, you drain it one bucket at a time. So you have to break up the overall project into smaller components, which when they're accomplished individually, they ensure the success of the overall project. So you want to launch the project with the impacted departments in mind, not just accounts payable, but also like IT and operations and sales and HR and so on. And each stage in the implementation project needs to have a time element attached to it. So you just need to have a realistic implementation plan in place to get to the final go live. This is just a sample of what a typical implementation plan needs to look like. And if you plan it all, which your vendor should be able to help you with, then you realize that the timing issues kind of go away and become a non-issue. So it's all about working smart, not hard, right? How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good. The next objection I come across is integration with legacy systems. Even with a non-legacy system, we all have heard of or come across situations where we try to implement a system and it didn't really implement or integrate the way it was supposed to. But let's talk about the legacy system. If you're still running your key financial data on a legacy system, you need to find a solution and an implementation team, which might be more important, that can help transform and integrate the data into the new system taken from that legacy system. This will enable you to have automated routing of invoice data to the system, PO matching, automatic creation of vouchers, dynamic URL access to your invoice image from within the financial system, and so on. So now if you have a non-legacy financial system, like let's say Oracle or SAP or Microsoft Dynamics, you need to make sure you pick a solution that has real tight integration with that financial system. So you got to look for solution partners that are certified by your ERP provider, whether it's Oracle or SAP or anyone else. And on top of that, you should also look at how the new system integrates with your ERP. Is it via web forms or APIs or some other mode of integration? So that's also really key. Your partner in the automation journey should be able to assist you with all of those. So Canon and GSI offer various options for integration with legacy systems. Organizations are now taking advantage of all the benefits of cloud applications. No or low impact on IT, and it has to be scalable, always up-to-date data. These solutions are delivered as a service, and this typically limits your upfront investments. In addition, the solution provides powerful analytics capabilities and provides real-time status of your business processes. Okay, risks. Let's talk about the risks. Well, the new system is too risky. If you look at the overall benefits of a comprehensive content management system, for example, which is one component of the AP system, you realize that the benefits far outweigh the risk. Capabilities offered as part of a good content management system and an accounts payable automation solution include ability to search and find information with keywords, full text, or combined criteria within the content management system. Controlled access with role-based permissions, retention rules and audits, depending on your industry, this may or may not just be a nice to have, but also absolutely critical. Fraud prevention measures are important, and award-winning security and compliance features are really key. And the database lookup capabilities, which help match an invoice with master reference data. So again, these are some of the things that can minimize, if not completely eliminate your risk. This screen shows an example of how content management features enable authorized users to view and annotate documents and act upon that information. And the last objection that we have for today, that we're drawing to a close here, is priorities. We all have business priorities, and IT is no different. Some of our clients tell us that they have several IT projects ongoing or in the pipe, and a lot of them take priority over an AP automation project. Sometimes it can be understandable, especially if you're looking at upgrading your existing software or adding new functionality that can help you achieve a much higher level of efficiency. We understand that and agree in most cases. However, you need to look at the benefits of an AP automation project and weigh those benefits against your other priorities. If your organization is suffering from delayed invoice processing that results in late payment penalties or for example, lack of the ability to take advantage of early payment discounts, then you need to weigh the cost of waiting against the cost savings of implementing a new solution and the ROI, the return on investment that expense might bring. Also, a typical AP clerk handles a little over, I think it's a little under 1,000 invoices a month. Again, that was a study done by IOFM, Institute of Finance Management. And it found, I think if I have my numbers in my head correct, I think it was 863. So just slightly under 900 invoices a month. In a highly automated environment, that number can go up by a factor of 6 quite easily. And in some cases, and as I have seen with my clients, by a factor of 8. So that alone can pay for the solution in the first year very easily. You also want transparency and high visibility, within your organization, especially today, in the collaborative work environment and the collaborative AP environment that we have today. So this might be an answer to that. And then finally, you want your business processes to be standardized across the enterprise. That makes it easy to control and adapt to the current remote working environment. There are a handful of other benefits which I'll be glad to discuss with you on a one-to-one basis if you would like, but I think in the interest of time, these are just some of the key benefits that we can be sure to achieve using AP automation. So in closing, I'd like to say that in this challenging remote work environment, the ability to work more efficiently and collaboratively in a digital world is of the utmost importance. Canon offers a vast array of intelligent automation solutions that help customers automate their key business processes. Leveraging our consulting expertise, best-in-class technology, and consultative, customized approach to delivery, we are committed to helping our customers make their business processes digital, secure, and accountable. Canon offers on-premise and in-the-cloud solutions to fit various client needs and IT configurations with capabilities to integrate with various ERP systems. And we would be glad to discuss with you if you'd like to undertake this journey and learn more about our methodology or our recommendations. So with that, I am going to turn this back over to Brooke.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bob. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I just want we have a couple of follow-up items. And then I just want to remind everybody as well that you can still, there's time to submit your questions still. All right. Can you see my screen okay, Bob?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, first and foremost, for your presentation today. We always love having you guys. And I just want to remind you guys that if you would like to sign up for our weekly email reminders for our upcoming webcasts or our newsletters, you can go out to getgsi.com, go to resources and events on the main menu. And then you can just select the JD Edwards on the side, and then you can sign up for email notifications. And then we also have YouTube, where we put all of our recorded webcasts and other content up there as well. We also have erptalk.com, which is a problem-solving collaboration site where you can go, and we welcome your contributions. And so we just ask that you either post a question or that you answer others' questions as well. And then you can stay connected with us on social media. All of our handles are currently listed on the screen. We post a lot about webcast events, industry updates, and a lot more as well. All right, so let's see. Let me just check to see if we have any questions here today. All right, I don't see any questions as of right now. But if you do have any follow-up questions, Bob had the email addresses listed on his screen, or there's also an email address listed here on the screen right now. Feel free to visit us at getgsi.com, and you will be receiving an email with a link to our YouTube channel, which will allow you access to a recording of today's webcast. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to contact us. And with that, thank you guys so much, and we hope that you have a great day. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks,
Yes,
Brad.
thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Have a great day.